Decorating Pages podcast presents Production Design Film Study. This class examines Oscar-nominated films spanning a century of cinema. Accomplished professionals in production design will explore and dissect the sets featured in these nominated films and will educate why they were recognized for the design of their time. This class features the films of 1992. This year's films are reviewed by set decorator Kim Wannop and set decoration buyer Howard Warman. The nominated films for 1992 that will be discussed are Bram Stoker's Dracula, Chaplin, Howard's End, Toys, and Unforgiven.
All I remember are shadows. I swear I sat in a dark theater watching, no pun intended, Dark Shadows.
Yeah.
And I think that,
Well, I wanted to start with Dracula. I was going to say, do you want to go in alphabetical, but save the winner till the end?
Good.
How's that? So we would start with Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Okay.
Which, I agree with you. There's some very dark shots in there, but I saw it in the theater, and I remember loving it. It's Coppola, it's this like cast of like all of these people, and it's gory, and like there's like sex, and like it's a weird take on it that I don't know. It's a little over the top, but whatever. And I probably haven't seen it in years and years and years. I watched it and I was laughing out loud.
Because it was so silly?
Yes. And like a little campy, and like Gary Oldman is like so over the top. So you didn't miss, the only thing you missed by not rewatching it was maybe the effect of like, oof, this didn't age well. This did not age well.
I think at the time I may have felt the same way. I also was always, as we're talking about casting, I always, for whatever reason, I could never get past Winona Ryder. I always got held, like I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt. I kept on going. I rooted for her, and then she always let me down. Yeah. Like I always wanted to make her, I was always hoping she was going to embody an actress, a trained actress, and it just,
Yeah. I do think she was good in Girl Interrupted, but I can't think of anything else. I mean, Beetlejuice is Beetlejuice. You can't really fuck that up. She did great in that because
she was limited. It was a limited part. It was a small part. I could have done Beetlejuice.
Yes, you could have. 14-year-old girl, you could have done it.
Absolutely.
But even in Stranger Things, she's so over the top, and like the facial expressions and everything. She doesn't do it for me at all.
Could you imagine? I don't know. I don't like. Could you imagine her and Jennifer Aniston doing a show together?
No. Is that real?
I know. That's the irony. That's the comedy of it. It's like these actresses who had a lot of power in Hollywood, who did well, but really can't convey a story. They don't have it within them. They don't have it in them. Yeah. But I guess, you know what? Maybe if she did sitcom or like a sitcom, Winona would have been cast right. But anyway.
Maybe. And she's so young in it, and I think it was supposed to be River Phoenix. It was supposed to be the Keanu Reeves. I think that was it. I think I read that.
That's interesting, because they were the besties, right?
Yeah. So
they probably went out for the same parts.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. That time, early 90s. He had just died. So yeah. But it, to me, is like, what I did find fascinating in researching it is that it was shot all in LA. It was shot at Sony and Universal, and one Orthodox church like on Wilshire or something.
Interesting. So is it a Sony or Universal product?
I gotta look that up then. Wait.
Okay, no big deal. Just curious.
But
it wasn't a
Columbia Pictures. Sony. It's a Sony picture.
But it wasn't a huge success, right? At first, it became, it kind of had it struggled a little bit.
It had a $40 million budget, and it opened at $30 million. So no.
Well,
Well, I mean, it didn't make its bank back in the first weekend is what they're always, looking for. And then gross worldwide, I think it's at $215 million all time. So it made its,
Yeah, it made a mark. It did all right. It's in the black.
I don't think it did do well in a sense that this was one of the films that was from Coppola's production company, and they were kind of banking on it doing really well, and it didn't. So whatever the deal he had with Sony or whatever, it didn't help his films.
Yeah.
That's
and I think the only Dracula film after that I recall that was similar to me was Tom Cruise's
Interview.
Vampires.
Yeah, Interview, which is so good.
Which was, I wonder how many years later that was. Can't be much.
2 or 3 years later, maybe.
I figured, yeah.
Yeah, because I think River Phoenix was supposed to be in that, and Christian Slater took over.
Yeah, so they were both being shopped around the same time. Interesting.
Yeah. Now this is one of 3 nominated films that Anthony Hopkins is in for production design. Isn't that weird?
Oh, you mean, hold on. Let me dissect that. You're saying in 1992, he did 3. He had 3 films coming out.
Yeah.
And of those 3, and all of those films that he was in were all nominated
for production design. So he was in this. He was in Dracula. He was in Chaplin, and he was in Howard's End.
Oh, right.
Isn't that crazy?
I forgot in Chaplin he was the interviewer.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, that is really funny.
Yeah, he was working it, and he had just come off of Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, right. He was pulling in the dough. If I was his agent, I would have done the same thing.
Sexiest man alive. I don't know.
So wait, we start with Bram. So now we're jumping. Okay, we'll jump to Chaplin afterwards.
Yeah. So wait, do I have any other notes? So it was the first production design job for the production designer, Thomas Sanders, and he died in 2017. And then the set decorator, Garrett Lewis.
Can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
Say his name again.
His name is Thomas Sanders.
And you're telling me that was his first production design job, regardless if it was TV or film or film?
Well, I think it's film. I don't know if I dug deep into his TV, but I mean, he was an art director before that.
So, wow, I gotta tell you.
Yeah, it's a big project because it's all builds. Think about it.
I know, that's a big task.
Yeah, they had to build a lot. All those staircases, I don't know, the bedrooms, staircases. And now looking at it, you can see that it's uni backlot.
I didn't find, at the time, I didn't find flaws. I didn't notice the background as much as I noticed the shadows and that to me. I didn't find fault. I don't think I laughed at any of the background stuff.
No.
To me, it was probably good.
I laughed at the dialogue and the acting. I didn't laugh at the production design at all. I thought it was pretty miraculous because, they have the big scene at the end with the horses and they're all going up to the castle and the big castle and his, I thought it was done very well in that time for that era. The sets I think are really good, and I think the sets hold up very well.
Did he have success after that movie?
He did Saving Private Ryan and Braveheart. So yeah.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah. And then the set decorator, Garrett Lewis, did Beaches.
Okay.
Hook, Misery, Pretty Woman.
Oh, okay.
Bunch, in that time. So, yeah. Very dark for him.
Okay. So Pretty Woman was what's his name? Penny's
Marshall,
brother.
Yeah.
And he did
Gary
a Carl
Marshall.
Reiner film. So he did a Rob Reiner film.
Right.
So he was involved with that whole group.
Spielberg did Hook.
Yeah. He has a nice pedigree.
Yeah. So there's some talent doing those films.
Absolutely.
I thought the production design held up. It was the movie that I was surprised at myself because I knew that I liked it, and I was like, this is not good.
I don't think I walked away even thinking it was good.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
But I could have,
But
and I was a snob. I gotta tell you, I was a snob at some times.
Well, you should be. You're a paying customer.
You're right. You're so right.
Now, Chaplin, I didn't see in the theater. I saw it on VHS.
Why didn't you go to the theater?
I think
that's interesting. Why wouldn't you have seen that in the theater?
I think I probably didn't see it in the theater because maybe it probably came out at like Christmas time. Well, no. It says the release date's January 8th. So it probably came out at Christmas time to be eligible. I don't know. Maybe time of year or...
No, because to me that's all moot. That means nothing. What time when it came out. Even if you were super busy, it means nothing. What I'm saying, what I'm looking for is, was there a reason? Were you not a fan of his work?
Not really.
And didn't you have a little bit of an interest in Charlie Chaplin though?
No.
Okay.
No, I really wasn't very much into that. And since watching that, I watched 2 movies with the boys, Charlie Chaplin movies with the boys, and they loved it. I forget which one. Yeah. The dog one, the one with the dog, and the other one. We started The Kid, which is really sad, and we got like halfway through it or something. But
now when you think about Charlie Chaplin, you think about him being a little different, right? Don't you think of him being a real innovator?
Absolutely. I mean, him and Pickford and Fairbanks coming up with the studio and, trying to push things along quickly and keep up with progress of the talkies. And I think he's completely instrumental. And, I think he was a kind of a crazy person. To like with the music and like how they portray him in that with the music and going over the music and and like editing like that's kind of nutso to me. But all of I think I didn't see it at the time. I don't know. I wasn't into it.
Okay. Now I was always piqued by him. I knew how he was instrumental in the formation of Hollywood. Also, another Jewish man from Eastern European roots coming out to Hollywood, being instrumental in Hollywood. And I also like the fact, I think it was his brother Sidney, who was Fanny Brice's husband or son-in-law. So that kind of interests me a little because I was obviously a Barbra Streisand fanatic and funny girl, and I knew there was I knew that there was lineage with Charlie Chaplin. But as far as the film itself, I loved it. Always have. Loved it when I first saw it in the movie theater. I think as far as being period perfect, like me going back, me being in the 20s and the 30s and watching that, it did a fairly good job.
Yeah. I mean, I think that there's so many sets. There's like a lot. Like, when you see...
I know.
But I love the old Hollywood stuff that they showed too. Like that editing room that's just like made out of wood or something, and they have the film strips coming down, or when he first goes on movie
where he first got the idea.
Yeah. When he's like in that orange grove and they're filming, all right, do it again. Like it's a little bit Babylon to me too. Like that whole like when they shot everything outside. Only because I just watched that I was like, oh God, they must have shot so much outside because of the weather. And like building inside was probably more expensive. Like I was trying to connect of how like Hollywood probably shot a lot more outside then, but
and building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because their sets were like, 1-2 wall sets or something when they did build. I loved when they showed how they did that house moving, in his famous scene. Like, reconstructing that is fantastic for the production design. And I think his makeup when he gets older is not good.
It wasn't.
No, it's a sin.
It was a little much. But going back to that scene where he was in the editing, where Dan Aykroyd was, I forget the producer's name, the first... he was the first producer of silent films. I forget his name now, but
Max Sennett.
Yes, that one.
Yeah.
Who had his hands on obviously a lot of those characters coming out of the silent era. But yes, I like the way it was shot. I love seeing the interiors and exteriors of the old glamour, Hollywood glamour.
Yeah.
The homes.
The restaurants,
absolutely.
Yeah. Perino's? It's Perino's, because I always remember it from like Mommy Dearest. God damn it, Perino's is my place!
I gravitate to that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I really believe that it was... not that it was a better time. It was a different time, but it was very interesting. I think a lot of it has to do with me. It's the storyline, the acting, and production value. When it all comes together, man, it's
it is. It's magic.
It's a whirlwind.
I mean,
and it's like no other art.
Yeah. It's costumes and the lighting and like it is.
And music and the music. And we'll talk about that really. I mean, I want to talk about the music with how when they are in sync with the sets.
Yes. Music is
with the storyline,
Oh, music is tremendous in making you feel and provoke emotion. It's
But and I really want to get into it for the winner of that year because it was almost like it really was magic. Yeah. It almost seemed like it was so... Well, anyway, music is very important.
Yeah.
And again, with Charlie's music also was... I mean,
it was silent film. That's all he did. He kept going over that music again and again. It was like Crazy Town.
Crazy Town. Wouldn't it have been fun to work with them at one point?
To be silent films?
Or just to work with Douglas Fairbanks, Mary Pickford.
Oh my God, well, yeah. The whole thing with his mom being crazy, that's like, he's fucked up. He was fucked up. That mother, I know. She was cuckoo.
Well, that's why it was tragic, because he had his demons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Besides what was going on here politically in the 50s and his interest in young women.
I could see why this film was nominated for production design because of the era and the period and they were in like London a bunch and LA and they built a lot, so I could see why
it was
this
full.
Was yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot. There's a lot of sets in Chaplin.
Right, there's a lot to take in there.
Yeah.
But no, what was his name who did that movie?
So the production designer for this film is Stuart Craig.
Were you familiar with him prior? I mean, do you know of his work?
I know of his name, and then I have information on everybody, but like my Chaplin notes are not good. Well, Stuart Craig did The English Patient, and then he went on to do all the Harry Potters. That's right.
Okay.
So he did all those Harry Potters and was stuck in that, and then did like Fantastic Beasts, and so he's been working his ass off for years doing all that. And then the set decorator isn't on IMDb or something. I couldn't. Let me see. The set decorator is Chris Butler.
All around, it's a good film.
Yeah.
It's worth watching it on a big screen.
Yeah.
It is. Maybe getting something out of it next time.
Yeah, well, now that I watched it on my big screen, now I appreciate it. But I'm saying in 92 or 93 when I watched it.
No, you were young, right. I get it. Oh, okay. But when you're in your 20s and a movie comes out, it's sometimes more important to go to the movie by yourself than it is on a date or with friends.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Especially, not that you're embarrassed, not that there's peer pressure, you don't want to,
Anything else for Chaplin?
No, but I think it was a good film. I don't know why I'm not saying beautiful, but it's a good film to watch. And everything about it. It was done really nicely. Yes.
And I think Downey Jr. did a really great job in it too, honestly. So, toys. Toys.
I just took a deep breath.
Toys is so bad. Toys.
Really so interesting. Like, I was looking forward to things. And
why?
It just, the storyline, the plot.
The storyline goes one way. It's about a man who is going to inherit his father's toy industry or toy production company, and he has a sister, and they're like living as if like they're in Toyland, like they're in a different reality. Yeah, they're in a different reality.
Absolutely.
And then which
I find interesting.
The first half of the movie is a different movie from the bottom half, the ending half, I feel. It starts to go a different way. The dad leaves his brother, the company, who's into like military.
Right, he's the general and he's militant.
And he wants to make military toys. It starts to take on a message, and it's a disaster. The movie is awful.
I know.
Awful.
And even the casting's really interesting. Yeah. Because all of them can act.
Yeah. But I can see why it's nominated for production design.
Absolutely.
It's brilliant. It's different. It's really out there in making them live in this other land. It's I find it's a lot of like Tim Burton-ish. I
visually it quenched all my color sensories. Yeah. Like, I was just like, I didn't even pay attention to the storyline because I was so busy looking at the interest and how much fun, how interesting was those sets. Yeah. And some of them were really simple.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of them are just like a room with a window, but it's shot beautifully, and the color palettes are unbelievable. It's very bold. And then as the movie goes on, it gets darker and darker, and the brightness goes away. It's just kind of a sad movie too, in a sense. I love the one room where they're like testing a toy, and the walls start to come in like Tetris pieces, and the walls keep getting, it's a completely white room, and the pieces of the walls keep coming in to make it smaller and smaller, which design wise and choreographing with the actors, I'm sure took a long time or a lot of conversations, I would say.
Yeah. What stood out, for whatever reason, with me was her duck bed.
Yes, her duck bed. The sister's like lunatic. She's a lunatic, and spoiler, you're never going to see this. She's a robot. So, they gave her this bed that's like a giant duck. And of course, that was in all of the previews, I remember. Just like the weirdness of the design and the costumes and everything really tried to sell the movie, but it's not watchable, really.
Yeah, but look who I forgot, because I did not. Maybe I tried to see it when it first came out, but for whatever reason I didn't. But I don't recall Robin Wright being in it.
Yeah, and she's like Robin Williams' love interest.
Yeah,
she's decent in it. She's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And Joan Cusack is going to be her quirky self.
Mm-hmm. And so it had a $43 million budget, but only made $23 million to date To date. That was 30 years ago.
Made in 92. Okay, so wow.
Yeah. So.
And
yeah.
Robin, I gotta tell you, most likely that Robin's fee was very big in 1991, 92.
Yeah.
So it was at least a $5 million to $10 million payout for him.
I read that he didn't want his face on the poster. And, oh no, this was for Aladdin. This is what it was. Because Aladdin came out at the same time. And he told Disney, I don't want the genie to be like the selling point in the preview. And I don't want my voice used in something. And they did both of them, and then he like sued them or something because
I didn't know that.
He didn't want to take away from toys. He had two movies out at the same time. And how can you not? I mean, it was Aladdin, dude. Grasp it.
Well, I'm sure he had a back-end deal for both pictures, but so their budget was, wait, you're saying that they made it for how much? 20 million or
43.
They made it for 43 and they only got back 20.
23 today. That's how bad this movie was.
You could probably make that movie cheaper today, right? Production-wise?
Yeah, because Italian designer Ferdinando Scalfani spent over 1 year designing the sets, which took over every soundstage at Fox. I don't even know how you would do that. What were TV shows? Whether it's anybody... I mean, NYPD Blue was there. They didn't give up their sets, I wonder. But
that's a really interesting sentence. They had every soundstage at Fox. That can't be.
Well, there's some really big sets. The big cafeteria, the big workroom,
the big production line.
Yeah, the workroom, the cafeteria. I mean, their dining room. So they shot the field scenes out at that college in Woodland Hills, Pierce College.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why you would need every stage at Fox. I don't know if that's true. But that's what it says on IMDb. It says the designs were inspired by Magritte, which I could see. The famous painter, the surrealist painter Magritte, the guy with the top hat and the cigars, that artist.
Fernando had success before this film. I forgot which films they were.
Let me look them up.
That he got this one. I wonder why I don't know enough of his history anymore to understand why he would get this
Take
one.
This shit. Well, it's a design opportunity. There's plenty of times you read scripts and you're like, but we get to do this. He did The Last Emperor.
Oh, right.
Death in Venice. Ooh, cat people.
Well, The Last Emperor is in his own league, I think, and that's.
He was a visual consultant on Scarface. Well, he's a visual consultant on a lot of things. Cat People, Honky Tonk Freeway, American Gigolo. He designed Daisy Miller, Last Tango. Oh, he was a set designer on Last Tango in Paris. Yeah. But he didn't do much after Toys. I wonder if he died. He died in 94.
Yeah.
Bummer. So, yeah. And then...
if I'm not I think he was in his 50s or 60s at that point.
That's just
but in any case.
And then my dream decorator to ever talk to in my life, Linda Descana, worked on this. Who did Color Purple, Rain Man, Blade Runner, Goonies, Star Trek. I mean...
Is she still with us?
Yes. I know.
Have you ever met her?
No, I've never met her. She's my dream. She's my number one wish list guest.
Well, she doesn't work anymore, right?
No, she hasn't worked since 2008 on Bedtime Stories. Patch Adams, Liar Liar, Father of the Bride 2, Wolf, Jimmy Hollywood, Honeymoon in Las Vegas, The Rocketeer, Defending Your Life, which I love, Avalon, Back to the Future 2, Scrooge.
Why haven't you reached out to her?
I've tried.
Her on your
Harry
podcast?
and the Hendersons.
She has a long list.
Yeah. But Blade Runner, Fatso. She did Fatso.
I don't remember Fatso.
Oh my God, Fatso's so good with Dom DeLuise, 1980.
I think with was that a Mel Brooks movie? Or Dom DeLuise directed it?
Let me look. Fatso. I don't know. Anne Bancroft directed it.
But then
so Mel did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, Linda's like my dream Jess. But so I could see it's an awful movie, but it's a great design.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
because when you're watching, you're in awe. You're watching this. It's really interesting, especially at the time. It was a wow to watch.
Yeah. And I hated the music in Toys.
Oh, I don't even remember.
It was awful. It was like kind of like you're cranking a box, one of those Jack in the Boxes, and like it's not good. It's not. I made that note to like I hate this music.
So did it get, besides nominations, did it win for anything?
I don't.
Did it actually win an award across the board for anything? I wonder.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I wouldn't put money on it.
View by Film, Toys, T. Let's see, T. Toys, 2 nominations. That's all it had. 2 nominations. It didn't win. So no. I mean, what a letdown.
Yeah. But again, I'll put it in the unique column.
I mean, it's Barry Levinson.
I know.
We're not dealing with babies here. This
I know.
Yeah. And he helped write it too. That's scary.
I'm sure that was a big CAA package.
Now yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it was.
Barry Levinson, Robin Williams. Yeah, it was probably all their clients except for Fernando, probably. But yes, that's anyway. Well, there's always flops, but it's a unique film. I'll give it that. That's how I'm leaving it with that.
All right, unique. I never need to see that again.
Yeah. Would your kids like it today?
Nah, it's too weird.
It's okay.
They can't follow that story. It's just stupid. And then with all the violence, no. Unforgiven. I love Unforgiven. God damn, when Clint takes that drink, when she's telling him that Morgan Freeman's dead, when the whore is telling him that Morgan Freeman is dead, and he takes that drink, you're like, oh, it's on. Oh, it's on. Like, wow. He's got to be so hurt right now. He's going to drink.
You could feel his anger, and you were with him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
His wingman.
Ooh,
you were definitely, the audience was his wingman in that film.
Watching Gene Hackman whip Morgan Freeman is awful.
Oh, yeah.
Awful.
Because you thought Gene Hackman was doing such a good job and being such a good asshole, right?
Yeah. When he beats the other guy, to a pulp, and then when he almost lets him have the gun. It's so good. The movie is so good.
So good. Visually, for me, it was the exteriors.
Mm-hmm.
Really, I was impressed with. Maybe because that's more of the film. Well, the landscape, the photography.
Well, the DP.
The vastness.
I actually got to meet Jack Green, the DP for this. Mm-hmm. And I forget if he won for this or just nominated. He was a DP on this really tiny, low-budget movie I was an art department PA on. But he was so nice.
There was probably one of a few male leads that my mother would take a real interest in, and that would be Clint Eastwood. For some reason, he had both men and women. He had an audience of both men and women.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because he's got kind of a switch. Sometimes he's really handsome, and sometimes you're like, ooh, he is not good.
He's dirty and gnarly.
Yeah, he's Dirty Harry. Yeah. But it was shot in Canada, so that's probably two.
In the western part or the eastern part? It had to be the western part.
I don't know. It just says...
It had to be like outside of Vancouver or Whistler, I would think.
Probably.
That's interesting.
Production designer Henry Bumstead took only 32 days to have the Big Whiskey set construction, the fastest in his lengthy career. I guess they had to turn that around because, you know, Clint, he shoots so fast. I guess that's why. I do love to, I mean, obviously I think they built that whole town.
Right.
And then with Gene Hackman's house, how it's like half built and it's shitty and it's like just new pine or whatever they're using. Like, I love them showing that, how people are just building houses. Like, that's how new it is.
Right. Yeah. I liked nothing necessarily stood out or was totally a wow factor as far as visually watching it. I thought it, but I think it all made sense. It brought me back to that time era. I thought it was period right, spot on.
I love the wallpaper in the whorehouse. There's like this.
I don't even remember.
And then the jail cell using only the lamp lights, you know, because they only used candles and everything. It's so interesting. What did he use
jail lights for?
Well, these lamp lights. That's why it's so dark. Like when the beaten up guy is in the jail cell and it's all so dark and moody and at nighttime and Gene Hackman's like being boisterous about his career and all these like stories for that reporter. The lighting in those scenes is so magnificent. And then like him giving him the gun and like the shadows of it, I just thought was like fantastic.
Oh, now I have to go back and rewatch it because I didn't get that at the time.
Yeah.
If I knew that prior, I would have,
Yeah.
I was captivated with their performances.
Yeah.
Even though Clint Eastwood is always, you know, downplay, low key. You know, I think he lets a lot of other people shine.
Yes.
I think it makes him a great movie maker.
Yeah. I mean, $1 Million Baby. He's my grandfather, really. Like in Gran Torino, like that's like my grandfather. And he kind of looks like my grandfather too. It's just fun. And Sinatra. But yeah, I think it's a great movie. Do I think it should have been nominated for production design?
Well, that's okay. That's what I'm asking because
I don't know. I don't think so.
That's where I just felt that like it wasn't my choice, but nothing was spectacular. It was great, and they really made me feel very comfortable in that time period.
Because so far, Dracula, yes, huge scale, big sets. Chaplin, the period, everything, toys, the imagery,
the uniqueness.
Unforgiven. I mean, it's a Western. I don't know. I think my biggest thing here in this year is I went back and I was like, oh, well, what other films came out that year? And I cannot believe that Batman Returns is not nominated for production design. And won. Like, Batman Returns is wonderful in design. I just can't even. It's an influence on me, that movie. I can't even believe that it wasn't nominated.
I didn't know that, and I haven't seen Batman 2. So I saw it, but I don't remember it right now. But I can imagine why wouldn't it have been nominated?
Isn't that crazy?
So who was?
Well, I think Bumstead. I don't know if Bumstead's got friends. Like, you know, there's some people you vote for your friends. I don't know. He's a phenomenal production designer, but I don't know about phenomenal for Unforgiven.
So I'm just curious, was there ever a Western that was in color? So I guess from the 50s on, that won Production Value Award?
Well, I don't know that fact. I do know this is the third Western to win Best Picture. Dances with Wolves and Cimarron. I don't know Cimarron. Cimarron. Cimarron.
I don't know that one. I'm just curious if there's other production ones that win Well, Dances with the Wolves was great.
I'm sure that was nominated for production design. I'm sure. Yeah. So that put a damper for me on this whole year of like, what are people voting for? Why wouldn't they vote for Batman Returns?
Yeah. So you were skeptical.
Yeah.
Something that didn't make sense. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you look at the other movies that came out that year are Son of a Woman, Crying Game, Malcolm X, Few Good Men, Glengarry Glen Ross, Mr. Saturday Night, Love Field, that was period, Lorenzo's Oil, My Cousin Vinny. Damn it. So.
That was a good year.
Yeah. River Runs Through It, Hoffa, Enchanted April. Yeah, there was these are The Player. There's great movies that came out that year. I just don't understand how Unforgiven is.
Right, got ahead of some of those other ones.
Batman Returns got a nomination for makeup and I think something else.
Aladdin. So who directed Batman 2?
Directed by Tim Burton. Oh, duh.
Oh.
Duh. Yeah, and production designed by Bo Welsh. But we can talk about the winner. Howard's End. Howard's End won production design.
So there's a skew. Unfortunately, there's a bias here, because a lot of Merchant Ivory films are my favorite. Like literally, are one of my favorite. I have a lot of favorites.
Yeah,
but
everyone.
Those particular films to me are masterpieces. A lot of them.
Yes, I always mix this up with Remains of the Day.
Oh, now that you said it, you could mix me up now. Yeah.
In fact, when I was like, oh yeah, I know that one, and then I was like, oh no, it's the other one.
Who's in Remain? Besides
the same
Hopkins?
cast. It's Emma Thompson, and yeah, it's the same one. Only he's the butler and falling in love.
Oh right. Oh, that was a great film too.
Yes, that's a great film. Period.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen this in a long time. I didn't see this at the theater, but I know I saw it when it came out and was bored to tears when it came out. But I liked it better this time.
Okay. I can understand that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little... So what always gets me is that now seeing Helena Bonham Carter's career now, like how she, like in Fight Club, and like she plays all these like kind of crazy women in a lot of her she was Ophelia, I think, too, with Kenneth Branagh, and like didn't she and I just feel like, didn't
they have an affair?
Yes.
They had a short affair.
Yeah. And looking back, like when you know somebody's history but they don't know it then, and you're like, oh, look at you playing this part and you're kind of crazy. You are kind of crazy, like, or something. I don't know.
So hold on. You're saying now, looking back, or that? Well, then she only had Room with a View.
Yeah, she didn't have that many.
She wouldn't have been the reason you would have watched that film.
No, but I like her. But I don't think I liked. I don't know. I didn't really like Emma Thompson. Although I love that movie she was in. Dead.
Sense and Sensibility.
Dead Again. No, Dead Again with Kenneth Branagh, and he wrote and directed it, I think.
They were married at the time, right?
Yes, they were married, and I love that movie. So I think that was the only reason I liked Emma Thompson. And of course, you love Anthony Hopkins. I mean, will you watch anything?
See, I'm a big fan of Emma Thompson in period pieces, and I think it was cast really well. Yeah. Well, English people. I think it's one of the few times on film that we see Vanessa who's truly probably the best British actress, or one of the top 3 British actresses, give a really kind of small part. It was not a big part.
Subtle. Yeah.
So I could go on. between the casting, visually, how it just, it's a romance, even though
it's romantic.
It's romantic, and it's there's just so many verbs. I mean, so many adjectives I can put in there, but it takes me away. It's the kind of movie. Well, I'm usually like this with a lot of movies. I don't want to be. If somebody bothers me while I'm watching a movie, I don't like that.
You're out. Yeah.
Don't do that. It's my time. To me, it's like reading a book. If I'm in the middle of a page, don't bother me.
Yes.
Like it's how I get the few times during the course of a day that we get some art in our lives and some, you know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I was every time I watch it, I'm totally engrossed. I alwa's find something new. Not that I remember it, but I'll notice things I didn't notice last time.
So apparently the house, Howard's End, the house, the view that we think is the front door.
The back? Is the backyard?
Side of the house.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The house apparently is an H, and that's the side of it. So it's like, 3 times as big or something.
Oh, I love that you found that out. And where is it in Britain?
The house is owned by a friend of the production designer, and it occurred to her that it would work perfectly if they only saw one side of it.
Love that. So who's the production designer?
Lucia Aretti.
And when was she coming off of that got her this movie?
I don't, Christ.
Or
maybe
maybe
you could look up some of this.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm kidding. Maybe you could have done a little homework for this, okay?
Oh, I thought you were my teacher for the day.
Yeah, Sense and Sensibility. And she before that. Oh no, that was after it. She did Remains of the Day too.
Okay.
And
that was Ivy Merchant. So she obviously has
she's in with them. Yeah.
Yeah, she's in with them.
Good for her.
She's their girl.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to hear what you're going to say, because I don't think there is. It was all done beautifully, and again, to me, from what I know, which is limited, it was period perfect.
Yeah.
And when it was subtle, it was subtle. When there was meant to be layers, there were layers.
Yeah, that Schneegel,
Schneegel residence.
Schneegel, the London flat that they had is so busy, and it so represents like who they are, because they're flittering, talking, and there's all of these pictures, and there's all of these books, and then there's tea sets and like on this table, and they're eating tea, and this. Like, there's a lot going on and dressing in that flat. Like, there's just.
Now, that being said, there's a lot going on in their original flat, the Schneegel's flat.
Yeah.
Did you think it was tasteful? Did you think it was all lovely and tasteful?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what I just thought they were sort of like upper middle class London. Right? That's what I thought they were. So yeah, why not have all this stuff? But the story of like, oh, we're gonna lose our house. I don't know. We rented it. We lived there our whole lives. We rented it. We're gonna lose our house. Was kind of like, what?
It was that particular.
So you didn't own your house? I don't get it.
Well, that's the thing. It almost sounded like it was smarter in those days to rent rather to own, or maybe because there was no male. Maybe only males got to own pieces of the land, and the women couldn't have ownership. That I'm not sure of, but I did find that townhouse intricately decorated.
Yes,
and I didn't mind it.
No,
even though there was a lot going on, I wasn't that. It didn't make me dizzy.
No.
Where if you go to the Wilcox's flat across the street.
Yeah. Which is so opulent, though. It's like...
So opulent, so grandiose.
So big, and so like,
so big.
Oh my God, these people got money. There's plants everywhere. There's big palm trees like in their living room, and like...
Right. The size was unbelievable. And it brought... I mean, when they were shooting from the stairs...
Yeah. And you get that big...
Yeah, it was...
But I don't
like the
really
way it's
understand.
shot.
They're renting this house for the month because their son just got married, so they're in town, right?
Right, that's what that. Right, exactly. It
But
was
there's tons
actually for
of
2 weeks. They
pictures.
were saying.
There's tons of like family photos
Right.
everywhere.
So I guess because
Someone
they wound
unpack
up
them? I don't
staying, and
know.
then I think it was that point's kind of a little murky.
Yeah, I don't get that.
They stayed past 2 weeks, obviously, and then because he wanted to marry her,
Yeah.
that property became, or
Yeah.
that was one of their properties.
And in the very beginning, when who's it? Vanessa Redgrave? Is it Vanessa Redgrave? Did I just mix them up? Yeah. When she's walking around Howard's End, the home.
The very beginning, the opening scene.
It's a little creepy, but it looks like everybody loves that house. It looks like everybody's having a grand old time. They're playing cards or smoking. I don't know what they're doing. They're having like family time. And she's outside peeking through the window, and the rest of the movie is them shitting on this house. Like they hated it. It wasn't very us. It never hit our style. Blah, blah, blah. I was like...
Well, Vanessa always loved it. But yes, that opening scene, something I forgot that you just brought up. So I said, and I know obviously I've seen it, but it never occurred to me. I said, oh, Dylan, I never realized it. This opening scene is actually a ghost. This is her as coming back. And I thought this was possibly her after everything's settled and it's finally there at the end, her coming back and witnessing how everyone loved it. But I was wrong because, then it goes and explains the story of why she was there.
That would have made more sense to me.
That's what I thought, right? Mm-hmm. If she came back and she saw how everybody who were there now loved, there were people who really cherished the property.
But they hated it.
Her family hated it.
Her kids, her husband, they hated it.
Yeah. Well, one kid we only heard about
really sorry.
He went off to wherever, Nigeria. The other one was obviously a bad seed.
Yeah. Wow.
Or a disappointment.
It's I don't. It's a good movie, a good story. I'm sure that maybe the book was probably better.
Oh, I would think so. But I didn't read
it. It is a little like that point. There's some murky points, and then the guy like dies after a bookcase falls on him.
Yeah.
That also is kind of like, no, he didn't. He died? Oh, he died. Yeah.
Well, you had to take in the fact that in those days, cholera, health conditions,
very weak.
Very weak.
Yeah.
Out in a lot of rain, awake in London.
Yeah. And he can't sleep. He's sleeping next to a train station. He can't sleep.
Not a lot of food because she was getting the food before he was.
Yeah, she was.
But that set, that flat,
their little house, their little apartment, their little rundown apartment is really good.
Really great.
I love the aunt's bedroom when she's sick, and there's those round picture frames above her bed. There's like 5 of them.
Yeah. And then there's right. The aunt's house. The
Those
one
are
overlooked
fantastic. Yeah.
There weren't too many scenes from that house.
No. But it was good.
Or pale yellow. A lot of pale yellow going on.
Yeah. And I love all the horse carriages too. Like I love the sound of like horses run, horse carriages. Like I love that.
The interior of the train.
Yeah, that was good.
The train stations were cool. Also the office, remember the banks?
Yeah, his office was a little stark. But the wood tones and everything were gorgeous. Yeah, beautifully done. I would have voted for Batman over Howard's End. But
you were surprised that they won, right?
Yeah. I'm surprised that they won. Now, who would you have voted for? Howard's End, Dracula, Chaplin, Toys, Unforgiven. If those are my options, I probably would have voted for Chaplin. honestly.
I don't know. I'm thinking I may have to go see Bram. I love the fact that Toys was something unique and different for me, or it felt like it was, even though it's been done a few times. Howard's End was done beautifully. I'm not saying it doesn't deserve to be noticed for its production value, because to me it was simply beautiful. Even just going through the forest and seeing all the blue wildflowers.
Yeah, the gardens and everything. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Very beautiful. It takes you away.
Yeah.
But as far as what we're talking about here, I don't know. I really don't know. I'm not saying I'm disappointed. I'm just saying I don't think it was something so out of the ordinary what they gave us. I think they were very good.
Yeah. I would say this: if I liked Toys,
you probably would have voted.
I probably would have voted for that. But it's so bad. I don't know. I mean, you shouldn't vote like that. You should vote for the category. So maybe it is Toys.
Why I keep on thinking it has to be something I haven't seen before. It's just that the whole Toys. If you take away, if you just mute the whole film,
then maybe it is Toys.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think it's between Dracula, Chaplin, and Toys. I'll tell you that much. I think Howard's End is on my lower end of the voting, to be honest.
I understand that. If Batman was in there, even without me seeing it again, I would almost think I'm expected that I would think it's done great.
Yeah.
New ideas, everything about it.
Yeah. So maybe I would, yeah. I don't know. I might have to, if I mute it, I might have to give it, maybe I should. See, now I gotta rethink it. I'd probably vote for Toys. That's crazy because it's such a shitty movie. But the design of it, you're going to see another Dracula, and I'm going to say this, but you're going to see another period of Chaplin. You're going to see another Hollywood Chaplin type movie that might do it better, this and that. The imagination and the design elements that went into Toys you've never seen before and you'll never seen again. So I guess it is Toys for me.
That's the way I feel, but is that the case? Like, am I just basing it solely on the fact that it's just so unique and interesting? And
but that's fine. That's what you want to base your vote on. Go ahead.
Why couldn't I base my vote on just something that to me all makes sense and is beautiful?
Well, no, I mean, that's a beautiful thing, too, to get it so correctly, period, and not be overdone, and dress for the character, and
with the music, Kim.
Yeah.
The way he brought us in and out of scenes.
Yeah. Who did the music? Who did the music? Richard Robbins is the composer.
Just maybe, but you mentioned something earlier. I have to go watch, even though, I tried. Enchanted April I loved. You probably wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't.
But it's done really, the film needs to be upgraded. What's it called?
Restored?
Restored.
So best picture that year was Unforgiven. Al Pacino won for Best Actor.
For what? For Scarface?
For Scent of the Woman.
Oh, that's the one where he makes he's blind.
Yeah.
And what's the famous quote? What's the famous line?
Great ass!
To what happened
Chris
to him?
O'Donnell. What happened to him?
He was so cute.
Yeah, he was so cute. Supporting role for a male. What?
Wasn't Chris O'Donnell a Batman?
Yeah, he was Robin when George Clooney was Batman. It was the worst Batman ever. Gene Hackman won for supporting role. Emma Thompson, your girl, won for Howard's End. Marissa Tomei won for My Cousin Vinny. Cinematography, A River Runs Through It. Can't beat that. That's
Robert Redford.
That was, he directed it. And then Philippe Result was the DP. Costume design went to Dracula. How about that?
Oh,
And
I'm gonna have to watch that. But I want to watch it on a big screen. I don't want to.
Well, that was the thing, Howard. You were supposed to watch all of these movies.
I haven't seen it since it was on a big screen. I won't be able to look at it differently now unless it's on a big screen.